I'm Suzette Mullen of Your Story Finder, book coach, memoir writer, and avid reader. Welcome to Your Next Read with Suzette. This is our next read, Unbound. Why I read this book. As a memoir writer and a book coach who specializes in coaching memoir writers, I'm a memoir junkie. Now, when some of my favorite authors say, I must read this book, I listen. Here's what Brené Brown had to say. Sometimes a single story can change the world. Unbound is one of those stories. Tarana Burke's words are a testimony to liberation and love. And from Kiese Laymon, the author of the memoir Heavy, one of those rare books that will unfold and welcome part of us we thought we'd completely hid until the earth is gone. And from Glennon Doyle, author of the blockbuster memoir Untamed, Tarana Burke is the most important voice of our generation, and Unbound is an offering that will set free hearts, families, and communities. I will never stop thinking about this book. Okay, maybe I should stop right now. You want to read this book, right? So I have a little more to say. First, let's start with the title and subtitle, Unbound, My Story of Liberation and the Birth of the Me Too Movement. Right there, we know exactly what this book is about. We're going to get a personal story and the story of a movement. Now, by now, I'm assuming everyone listening is familiar with the Me Too movement. But like me, you may not be familiar with how it started. Maybe, like me, you thought Me Too started when actress Melissa Milano tweeted about being sexually assaulted and used the hashtag #MeToo. And like me, you would be wrong. Go ahead and read Unbound and find out why. Here's some key takeaways for readers and also some tips for memoir writers. Now, like many best-selling memoirs, Unbound starts with a prologue, a close to present-day context for the story the author's about to share. The end of the prologue leaves no doubt why she's written this book and the impact she hopes to have on the reader. She closes the prologue, I hope you're able to use my story of finding the courage to say me too to help you on your path. This. I coach my memoir writers about the promise they're making to the reader to write the truth, their truth, as they remember it and understand it. And Tarana Burke's Me Too moment, which she writes about in direct and plain speech, took my breath away, and it broke my heart. It leaves us with no doubt that this is a writer that we, her readers, can trust. Memoir writers like Tarana Burke aren't afraid to write the hard stuff. You, the reader, come to the page for that whole big messy story. And if an author sands down the edges or sanitizes the truth, you're going to sniff that out. That doesn't mean an author has to write about every single hard thing that's happened to them, but they have to dig deep and write the messy truth, the real story, like Tarana Burke has done here. The story you need to hear, the story that might change your life. Now, who should read this book? Well, first, anyone who loves to read memoir, and anyone who writes memoir and wants to see a beautifully simple structure that works. Anyone who cares about violence against women, and anyone who wants to read stories by people of color. So, really, everyone should read this book, right? Now, if you like Unbound, here's some other memoirs you should check out. Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford, Heavy by Kiese Laymon, and Hunger by Roxane Gay. For more book tips, check out my Reader's Corner posts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and visit my website, yourstoryfinder.com. Unbound, my story of liberation and the birth of the Me Too movement is your next read.
Your Next Read with Suzette was produced by So Good Media at The Candy Factory, a co-working and social club in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Check it out at coworkinginlancaster.com. Learn more about Suzette and her book coaching services at yourstoryfinder.com. So good.
Lancaster!